All right, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack a truly fascinating and honestly pretty profound psychological truth about how high-level intelligence actually works out there in the real world. You see, we tend to have this very specific, kind of rigid idea of what smart is supposed to look and sound like when we're hanging out in social circles. But the source material we're digging into today, it completely flips that idea on its head. We're going to explore exactly why the most brilliant minds among us don't actually sound like walking encyclopedias. In fact, they usually sound completely normal. You know the cliche, right? We've all seen the Hollywood genius on TV or in movies. They're usually super socially awkward, spouting these massive, overly complex words, and they literally struggle to relate to everyday people. Over time, we've kind of been conditioned to think that if someone doesn't sound totally confusing, well, they must not be a genius. But psychology reveals a much, much more sophisticated reality. The brutal truth is, true, highly intelligent people are absolute masters of blending in. They sound perfectly normal. And why? Because they aren't using their intellect to show off. They're using it to connect. Section 1. Tactical Simplification. So this right here is the core mechanism of how true intelligence functions in a social setting. It's not just a giant, complex storage drive of facts in their head. It actually operates like a highly advanced translation engine. We call this tactical simplification. It's the ability to use deep understanding to translate complex, abstract ideas into clear, simple language. And here is the absolutely crucial part. They do this without dumbing the concepts down. If you truly deeply understand a concept, you can simplify it so anyone can follow along. These highly intelligent people have an incredibly complex internal world, but they're using their brain power to bridge the gap between that internal complexity and the external social reality. They aren't dumbing themselves down at all. They're actually doing the heavy cognitive lifting for you so that you don't have to.
The emotional core of all this really boils down to one idea, and I absolutely love this quote from the text. Real genius isn't about sounding smart. It's about making others feel smart while you quietly process reality in layers. I mean, wow, think about that for a second. This is the exact intersection where raw intellect meets emotional intelligence. People who are just faking it, they use their brains to create confusion and elevate themselves. But real geniuses, they use their brains to create clarity. They're back there quietly processing all these complex layers of reality in the background, but the output they actually give you is perfectly tailored to make you feel capable, respected, and engaged.
Which brings us to Section 2, the mental chessboard. So, if highly intelligent people sound so normal on the outside, what is actually going on inside their heads? Well, they process social interactions through these rapid, split-second steps. It's like advanced predictive processing. Step 1, they run an internal simulation of the conversation. They're basically imagining how it might unfold and what people might say. Step 2, they gauge the emotional and dynamic impact of what they could say in response. Step 3, they mentally edit and just strip away all that unnecessary complexity. And finally, Step 4, boom, they speak plainly and simply. They aren't just reacting to in the moment. They are literally playing a mental game of chess 10 moves ahead, purposefully choosing the most effective, totally normal path to reach whatever their social goal is. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Mental editing, or the power of the pause. Have you ever noticed that when you ask a highly intelligent person a question, they often take a distinct pause before answering? They just stop, take a beat. That brief silence? That is not shyness. It's definitely not that they're slow to understand. That silence is the mental editing process we literally just talked about, happening in real time. The research shows they are verbalizing their thoughts internally first, filtering out the jargon, and making sure their words are going to carry maximum impact. By the time they actually open their mouths, they've stripped away all the noise. The final statement sounds perfectly normal, but man, it hits much, much deeper. And because they're constantly running these internal simulations, they naturally think way beyond themselves. Instead of just focusing on what they want to say, they're asking themselves these advanced perspective-taking questions. Things like, how will my words affect the team dynamic? Or, is this going to motivate or demoralize the other person? How can I adapt my tone so I'm actually respected and not just heard? This is emotional intelligence at its absolute peak. Because they're considering exactly how their choice of words impacts everyone else, they adapt their complexity to make sure they stay perfectly in sync with the vibe of the room. All right, Section 3, removing the ego. Listen, to be able to camouflage your intelligence and sound normal, you really have to let go of the ego. You have to drop the need to be recognized as the smartest person in the room. Let's contrast fake smart behaviors with real intelligence behaviors. Fake smart people hide behind jargon, they bluff constantly, their thinking is super rigid, and above all else, they are desperate for external validation. They use complexity like a shield to protect their image, right? They want the applause. But look at the alternative. Real intelligence demonstrates incredibly low validation dependency. They possess this profound psychological security. They realize that trying to explain every single complex thought to everyone is honestly just a massive waste of energy. They don't need a room full of people nodding in agreement to trust their own thinking. And that frees them up to just speak plainly and blend right in. And that profound psychological security we just talked about, it leads directly to cognitive flexibility. The absolute truest sign of intelligence is being entirely comfortable looking someone in the eye and saying 4 simple words, "I don't know yet." While other people are bluffing or talking over everyone just to hide their ignorance, a high IQ person demonstrates deep intellectual humility. When someone disagrees with them, they don't take it as a personal attack. Actually, scratch that, they don't even get defensive. They just treat it as new data to sharpen their own conclusions. This is what allows them to engage in totally normal debates without ever putting their guard up. Moving on to our final part, Section 4, Building Bridges. So why go through all this internal effort just to sound like everybody else? Well, it all comes down to cognitive bandwidth. Sounding normal isn't basic at all. In fact, it is the ultimate proof of immense cognitive bandwidth operating on a completely different level. Think about it. It means you have the raw processing power to handle your own highly complex thoughts while simultaneously managing the emotions, the reactions, and the understanding of every single other person in the room. It's literally a gift of clarity given from the speaker straight to the listener. So I want to leave you with this really provocative question pulled directly from our source material today. Look at your own interactions. Look at how you communicate when you know for sure that you have the upper hand on a topic. Do you use your intelligence to build walls, hiding behind jargon and complexity to protect your ego? Or do you use it to build bridges, engaging in that tactical simplification to make the people around you feel understood, respected, and smart? Let that sink in for a bit. Think about it next time you're in a meeting. Catch you in the next explainer.